All right, so Kimi K3 just dropped and people are already stacking it up against Claude Sonnet 5. The number that got my attention, Kimi's hitting 93.5% on GPQA Diamond, which is above PhD expert level. And that's not nothing. Kimi K3 launched July 16, 2026. So this is fresh. I'm comparing both models across 4 real tests, benchmarks, context window, pricing and latency, and every number traces back to a verified source with no vendor talking points taken at face value. Honestly, the thing that surprised me most wasn't the benchmark scores at all. It was what happens when you actually try to run Kimi K3 at scale and whether that changes which model you should be sending your API calls to. This comparison is for you if you're picking a model for production API work, coding pipelines, or any workflow where you're literally hammering it with thousands of calls. Get this wrong, and you're either overpaying by 33% or your app is throwing errors at 2 a.m. And both of those hurt. Test 1, math and coding benchmarks. Pick the wrong model for your coding agent and it just spins, never closing the pull request while you pay output token rates the whole time. That's a painful way to find out you chose wrong. I looked at both models across every published score I could find. On SWE Bench Family Coding, Claude Sonnet 5 posts 63.2% on SWE Bench Pro versus Kimi's 49% on SWE Bench, though those are different benchmark variants, so the gap is directional, not a clean head-to-head. Kimi's GPQA Diamond score of 93.5% is genuinely impressive, but Sonnet 5 has no published figure there to compare against. Okay, so take this with a grain of salt. Kimi's HLE score is 44.3% without tools, and Sonnet 5's is 57.4% with tools enabled, which isn't a fair fight. And Kimi's science scores like that 93.5% GPQA have no Claude equivalent to stack against. So the overall picture is kind of mixed. I was expecting Kimi's science scores to carry this test, but on the coding side, Claude Sonnet 5 takes it. That 63.2% versus 49% on real GitHub issue resolution is the number that matters most for daily dev work. So that's 1 for Sonnet 5, 0 for Kimi K3 on the scoreboard. Test 2, context window and long document comprehension. When you're generating a massive output, like a full code base or a long report, and the model cuts off mid-generation, you hit the output ceiling and get half a deliverable. That's a real production problem, not just a benchmark number. Both models sit at 1 million tokens for context input, so that's a genuine draw on max output though. Kimi goes all the way to 1 million tokens out, while Sonnet 5 caps at 128,000. Kimi also has a published AALCR long context reasoning score of 74.7%, but no Sonnet 5 figure exists for comparison, so it's partial data only. Now, big context windows come with a real caveat. Anthropic warns in their own docs that accuracy degrades as token count grows, and they call it context rot. So a 1 million token window doesn't mean 1 million tokens of reliable recall. And honestly, that applies to both models, but Anthropic's the one who said it out loud. I was expecting one of these to pull ahead clearly, and neither really did. Both sit at 1 million input. Kimi wins on output ceiling. Sonnet 5 has no comparable long context benchmark score published. So this one's a tie, and the running score stays at Sonnet 5-1, Kimi 0, with 1 test tied. It has 3 API pricing. If you're running thousands of API calls per day and you pick the more expensive model, that 33% price difference compounds fast. And at scale, that's the kind of cost that makes your unit economics look broken before you've even shipped anything. Right now, Kimi K3 is $3 per million input tokens and $15 per million output. Claude Sonnet 5 is $2 input and $10 output through August 31st, 2026. Then it matches Kimi at $3 and $15. So that's a 33% savings on both input and output while the intro window lasts. Though I keep in mind that's time limited, not permanent. Honestly, I was expecting pricing to be a wash, and it kind of is after August, but right now it's not. Sonnet 5 is genuinely cheaper, plus it has a 50% batch discount that Kimi hasn't published anything equivalent to. So Sonnet 5 takes pricing, and that's 2 wins for Sonnet 5. 0 for Kimi, 1 tied. As for latency and availability. You're in a live product, a user hits a button, and your API call comes back with a 429 error, or just sits there for 4 minutes before the first token appears. And that's not a benchmark number, that's a user leaving and not coming back. What surprised me here was how bad Kimi's numbers actually are right now. Artificial analysis clocked a median time to first token of 237 seconds on Kimi K3, which is nearly 4 minutes before you get a single token back. And OpenRouter is explicitly flagging frequent 429 capacity errors. I was expecting a new model to be a little slow, not this slow. To be fair, Kimi K3 just launched on July 16th, 2022-6, so some of this is a brand new model getting literally hammered at launch and capacity issues can improve. We also don't have an independent tokens per second figure for Sonnet 5 to stack against Kimi's 33 tokens per second. So the throughput side is genuinely one-sided data. A 237 second median TTFT plus frequent 490s is a production risk right now. Full stop. And Sonnet 5 has none of those warnings published against it. Sonnet 5 takes latency and availability, and that brings the final tally to Sonnet 5.3, Kimi 0, with 1 test tied. So here's where Kimi K3 genuinely earns it. That 93.5% GPQA diamond score puts it above PhD expert level of science reasoning. Its 1 million token max output completely dwarfs Sonnet 5's 128,000 output cap for bulk generation, and after August 31st pricing, converges to $3 and $15 for both, so Kimi's 90% cash discount gets competitive. And Claude Sonnet 5 clearly pulls ahead on the stuff that matters day to day, resolves real GitHub issues. More reliably at 63.2% on Sawi Bench Pro versus Kimi's 49%. It's 33% cheaper right now through August 31st. There's no capacity crisis or 429 errors. And it lets you tune reasoning effort per request, which Kimi just doesn't have yet. I was expecting this to be closer, and on paper, the science scores make it look like it should be, but production reality is different. If you need bulk long-form output generation and you can tolerate slow, unpredictable latency, Kimi K3 is worth watching. But if you need reliable coding, cheaper API calls right now, and a model that actually responds, Claude Sonnet 5 is the cleaner choice.